Good morning, everybody, and welcome to week 2 of At Home with APS, the summer edition. I'm Ms. Jacobson, and I am so glad to be here with you all today. Hope you had a great weekend, and we have a lot of things planned for you this week. You might notice up here, we've got a lot of farm kinds of things going on here with our first and second graders this morning in reading. I hope you are going to be ready to learn a lot about the farm. We also want to remind you that we have on Fridays every week here at Home with APS, we have some very special activities planned for you. These are K through 5 activities, so you could watch at any hour on each Friday. And we will have PE, social emotional learning, art, music, and then some sort of Fun Friday activity each time that we meet with you. Last week, we had all of our chickens and our dogs and our bunnies here, all of our home pets, and that was an awful lot of fun. I learned a lot about chickens that I didn't know. If you didn't see that episode, make sure that you go to the YouTube APS Expect Great Things website, and you can find any episodes that you have missed. And we've got some special things planned for you this week, and we hope that you'll join us. So let's get ready to learn all about the farm. Stay tuned with us. We'll be right back here at Home with APS.
Good morning, literacy learners, and welcome back for another wonderful episode of At Home with APS Summer Edition. My name is Miss Maggie.
And I am Mrs. Chappell during the school year to my students at S.Y. Jackson Elementary School. Go Jaguars. But this summer, I'm going by Miss Mary as we're coming into your homes.
Excellent. We are back for another fun-filled week working with animals. But this time, we're going to take our animal world out just a little further. Last week, we focused on pets. And if you missed any of those episodes, you can always feel free to watch those episodes on our APS YouTube channel for At Home with APS. This week, we are going to be focusing on farm animals, specifically ones that you could see on farms in New Mexico. This is going to be our essential question for this week. How are farm animals different than pets? But before we get started, we have a wonderful another shout out to one of our school librarians.
Boys and girls, during the school year, I am a school librarian, and I get the chance to work with school librarians all across the state. And today, I have a message from one of those school librarians to her students. So, if you are a student at Janet Kahn School of Integrated Arts, gather around, listen up. I have a message to you from your school librarian, Mrs. Gossoin, also known as Mrs. G. She says, "Happy summer, Beagles. I hope your break is filled with lots of good days. Remember, say yes to books and read, read, read." Boy, I'm hearing that message, read, 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 a lot from our school librarians and from our teachers.
Right? It is one of the easiest things that you could do to help keep your learning up in the summer. You just need a good book.
And now that our public libraries all across the state are beginning to open up again, it's easy to get our hands on books. Now, a lot of our public libraries are still doing curbside delivery in addition to opening their doors to the public. So there's lots of options for getting books into our homes right now.
And don't forget, Albuquerque Public Schools is also hosting Storytime in the Park as well.
So many exciting things going on. Let's get started with today's lesson.
Perfect. Now, we're going to be thinking a lot about how farm animals are different than pets. But before we even get into comparing them, let's talk about what you already know about farm animals. What do you know about farm animals? Let's take a look at this. Do you remember what it sounds like when you hear a question? When I read a question or say a question, my voice inflects up, indicating that I am asking something. When I'm reading a question, I can tell that it is a question because of this mark here. That says that I'm asking something. So let's think about, what do you know about farm animals? Will you read that with me? What do you know about farm animals? Go ahead and think for a second. Do you have an idea? Fantastic. I'm going to give you a sentence frame that can help you communicate your ideas clearly. I know that farm animals, and then you fill in your idea here. Sentence frames like this can help us communicate clearly. So, Miss Mary, why don't you and I practice using that sentence frame to talk about what we know about farm animals? What do you know about farm animals?
You know, Miss Maggie, that's a really good question. I actually know quite a lot about farm animals because I grew up on a farm.
Lucky for us.
So I have a lot of background knowledge. That means things that I already know based on my experiences about farm animals and what it's like to live on a farm and how much work it is to take care of the animals. So I can say something like, well, this is a very basic response to your question, but I know that farm animals live on a farm.
Right? Exactly. That is a piece of your background knowledge. One of the things that comes from my background knowledge is I did not grow up on a farm. I don't have as many experiences as you do. All I know about farm animals is from what I've read, what I've seen in books and television shows, movies, and just a little bit of what I've seen as I've traveled around the state. So I know that farm animals like to be in big grassy fields. That's what I know about farm animals.
That is true. They like to be in those big grassy fields so that they can make sure that they get lots of exercise, just like our pets do.
Did you hear how we were responding to each other's question about what we know about farm animals? That we were clearly stating our ideas in a way that wasn't asking a question? If we were to say our ideas and someone was to write them down, what punctuation would they use at the end of the sentence? That's right, a period. You can see our period right here. That tells us as readers that the author is saying something, making a statement about their ideas and their thoughts. I wanted to point out one more thing. Did you notice how Miss Mary and I took turns speaking? When I asked a question and she responded, and then I responded in turn? That's important when we have a conversation, that we don't talk over each other so that each one of us could communicate our ideas.
And you know, that's a really important skill to work on. One of the cues that I was using to make sure that I knew when it was my turn is that I was watching you. And we were giving each other cues or little signals with our eyes and also with our body language that we were listening to each other, and also when it was someone else's turn to respond.
One of the things that you can do to practice this skill of having a conversation with somebody is to just practice with a grown-up or a sibling or a friend at home. See if you can take turns with the other person as you're having a conversation. Are you listening when they are speaking? Are they listening to you when you are speaking? That's one of the most important things that we can do when we have conversations, is learn how to listen and communicate clearly. Those are both joining skills that most grown-ups need in today's society. Thank you so much for joining me on that, Miss Mary.
You're welcome.
Let's go on to the next one. I have a fun little sorting activity for us. We're going to take a look at a couple of pictures. And I have two categories for us. I have farm animals and not farm animals. It's important as we grow up to be able to identify items that belong in different categories. So when I think of farm animals, I'll be able to come up with ideas of what are farm animals in that category or not farm animals. So that way I don't get confused.
So if I think about this, and I'm sure that I understand you correctly, I can, for example, look at the puppets that we have up here on our table.
Yes.
And I can think about which one of these might be a farm animal and which one would not be a farm animal.
That's right.
Okay.
It's an important skill that we learn in kindergarten and first grade, how to sort into categories.
I think I've got it.
Perfect. Let's take a look at some of our pictures. Here's the first picture that I put up in the center of the board. Miss Mary, do you know what this is a picture of?
I see a pencil.
That's right, it's a pencil. Now I've got to think to myself, is a pencil a farm animal or is a pencil not a farm animal? Do you know?
I know.
Oh, I think we all know. A pencil is not a farm animal.
So I'm going to show a thumbs down to show that, no, that's not a farm animal.
Perfect. I think that's a good visual cue for all of our students at home. How about this one? This is a pig. And remember, I am using an image, but I am using an image that I have permission to use from the internet. So, boys and girls, is a pig a farm animal or not a farm animal?
Now, show us with either a thumbs up, it's a farm animal, or a thumbs down, not a farm animal.
That's right. A farm animal. A pig is a farm animal. We're going to learn more about this animal later on today. Let's try the next one. This, in the center of the board, is a cow. Can you say cow? Is a cow a farm animal or not a farm animal? That's right. He is a farm animal, or she. Let's try another one. A tiger. Is a tiger a farm animal? Do you know? That's right. A tiger is not a farm animal, especially not in New Mexico. How about this one? This is a goat. Is a goat a farm animal? That's right. A goat is a farm animal. Now, Miss Mary, are these the only animals that can be farm animals?
Well, again, I grew up on a farm. And actually, we had other types of animals. We did have cows, but we also had horses. We also had a goat. Her name, by the way, was Elizabeth, but only one goat. And we had cats and we had dogs, but they weren't our pets. They all had jobs that were very important to help us with our farm animals.
Excellent. So while these are just some examples, there can be many more types of animals. On your own time, see if you can find out more animals that live on farms. Because we'll certainly be talking about these different types of animals throughout the week. Let's go ahead and let's move in to today's Read Aloud. Today we are reading a nonfiction text called Pigs on the Farm. And it's by, and Miss Mary, please correct me if I say her name incorrectly. Her name is Mari C. Shu.
I think that that's right, using my knowledge of how letters go together to make sounds.
Miss Mary was so wonderful to bring us some of these nonfiction texts that we can read from her own library. And Miss Mary, is this the only book that Mari C. Shu has written?
You know, there's a whole series of books like this, and she's the author of several of them, if not all of them. A lot of times authors write about things that they're experts in, so I'm guessing that this author is an expert about farm animals. She knows a lot about them.
Perfect. And I also wanted to point out that she made sure to give a contribution to somebody that she worked with, Gail Saunders Smith, a consulting editor for the book, so somebody that helped her to edit the book. Let's go ahead and see what's inside. Now, as I read, I'm going to ask you to think about the most important ideas in the text. One thing I know that in a nonfiction book, the author is going to give me a lot of information, a lot. So one thing I can do is I can pay attention to what the most important parts of the text are. And that's what we do as efficient readers. Every once in a while, we stop and we think about what was the most important ideas from the section that I just read. And I will model for you how to do that today because we will practice it tomorrow with another book.
You know, I heard you asking yourself a question.
Yes.
And so, are you having a conversation with yourself, asking questions and giving yourself answers?
That's exactly right. That's one of the things that I can also do as a good reader, is ask myself and answer questions that I have. One of the things that I also wanted to point out to you is that this book was published by Pebble Books, which is an imprint of Capstone Press. It means it's a part of that company. Here is our first page. Pigs are farm animals. I'm going to pause here for a second because I want you to take a look at one of the text features that we have of nonfiction text. On the left-hand side of the screen here, where we see the picture of the pig, there are little words next to parts of the pig's body. We call these labels. Say label.
Label.
Labels can point to parts that have names. We see this often in images when we want to learn about different parts of animals, perhaps the body, plants, machines. You might see labels in tons of different places. A male pig is called a boar. A female pig is called a sow. Young pigs are called piglets. Farmers raise pigs for their meat. Farmers feed pigs corn and soybean meal. Pigs live in pens. Farmers keep pens clean. Some farmers spread pig manure on their fields. The manure helps crops grow. I know this part of the text is important because it's telling me something that the farmers get from the pigs that they can use for something else. I heard an interesting word in there, Miss Mary, and that word was manure. I think that's going to be a word that I need to look up later on, but there might be a text feature that helps me with that.
There might be, but we'll kind of keep that word rolling around in our head so that we remember to come back to it.
Absolutely. Veterinarians help keep pigs healthy. I remember that word from last week. Veterinarians. Some pigs roll in mud to keep cool. I think I need to pay attention to this part because if I was to have pigs on a farm someday, this information might help tell me how to make sure my pigs are taken care of. Pigs squeal. I see another text feature here that we talked about last week. Miss Mary, words to know. I think you used another word. What was that word again?
I used the word glossary.
That's right. A glossary tells us what words mean. Do you remember the question that we had earlier in the book? That's right. I wondered what manure meant because I didn't know. Let's see if it's in our glossary. I see crop. Oh, there it is, manure. Manure is animal waste. Some farmers put pig manure on their fields as fertilizer. Oh, it's animal waste? I didn't know that. That's so interesting.
What exactly, though, is animal waste? Because I don't think that animals just throw things in a wastebasket or in a trash can.
No, I don't think it's that either. Essentially, I think it's animal poo.
Yep, when we talk about manure, in this case, we're talking about pig poop.
That's exactly right. And so I notice also here that there are other words that they defined for us. Now, some of these words I already knew. Some of them, I didn't question myself on what that word meant. I used the sentence rather to kind of help me figure it out. But it's helpful to have all these words here. One of the things they also do for us on the right side of our book here is they give us information on where I can learn more about pigs from different books and different internet sites. And so because this book gave me a lot of good information, I feel pretty good about going to these books and these websites to learn more about pigs. So in thinking about pigs, we're actually going to use a picture of our pig to talk about sounds in words. So for today and for the remainder of our summer edition episodes, we're going to be focusing on working with individual sounds. These individual sounds, they're called phonemes. Can you say phoneme?
Phoneme.
Phonemes are only one sound, but the number of letters that are in these sounds could be 1, could be 2, and in very, very small cases, could even be 3.
So that reminds me of some letters that we worked with last week.
Yes.
When we put the 2 letters together, they actually only made one sound. Is that what you're talking about?
That's exactly right. So we're going to play a game with our pictures here, and it's about phoneme isolation, which means that we're going to be looking at the sounds by themselves in each part of a word. So it's important to remember that we're focusing on the sounds of the letters, not the actual letters themselves. So you won't see me spell out pig for this word. You won't see me spell out the letters. You're just going to see me mark the sounds, because that's what we do in phonemic awareness with these kinds of games. We only look at the sounds, not the letters. So for example, here is a picture of a pig. Say pig.
Pig.
Now say it slowly, focusing on each sound. Pig.
Let me try it. And I'm going to use my hands just like you did to sort of drag it out. I think I'm going to overemphasize dragging it out. Okay, I'm going to even spread my legs out. Pig. Except I added a sound there, didn't I?
Oh, just a little bit.
I have to be careful not to do that. I have to clip off any extra sounds, like in the g, I said g.
Mm-hmm.
Did you hear that extra sound that I stuck in there?
That's right. So we need to make sure we cut those off because it's a stop.
Okay, let me try it one more time.
Mm-hmm.
Pig.
Perfect. That sounded so much better. Let's think about each sound in pig. What sound did you hear first?
I heard
That's right. So that's our first or our initial sound. Let's take a look at the next sound. So we have what's this sound here, our second sound?
eh.
That's right. I. That is our medial or middle sound. So we have I. And then finally, our last sound. What's that last sound?
G.
So our last or final sound is G. So let's put those sounds, each one in our boxes. Let's start with our initial, which is P. Our medial, which is I.
Eh.
And our final, which is
G. G.
what's the word again?
Pig.
The word is pig. That's what it looks like when we isolate each sound. Let's try another example. This is a hen. Say hen.
Hen.
Miss Mary, can you show us again how to stretch out that word?
Hen.
Perfect. Let's go through and find each sound. Let's start with the initial. The initial sound is H. Our medial sound is
Eh.
Our final sound is
Mm.
Now let's do each individual sound to make the word. Ready?
Eh. Mm.
Perfect. Eh. What's the word?
Hen.
That's right. That's every sound in hen. Ooh, let's try this one. This one is duck. Say duck.
Duck.
Can you stretch it out again for us?
Duck.
Perfect. What is the initial sound in duck?
D.
Very good. How about our medial sound? And our final sound? All right, let's do every sound in its original spot. Ready? Our initial?
D. K.
The word is
Duck.
perfect. Let's try this one. The word is sheep. Say sheep.
Sheep.
Let's stretch that one out.
Sheep.
Perfect. The initial sound in sheep is
Sh.
our medial sound
E.
and our final sound. P. Let's do each individual sound in its place. Ready?
Sh. E.
The word is
Sheep.
perfect. This word is goat. Say goat.
Goat.
Let's stretch out the word.
Goat.
Perfect. Let's say every sound that is in goat. The initial sound,
G.
the medial sound,
O.
the final sound.
T.
Let's say every individual sound. Ready?
G. O. T.
The word is
Goat.
perfect. This one is going to be trickier. I wanted to provide a challenge. We don't only have 3 sounds in this word. We're going to have more. But here's the thing, Miss Mary. Can we have more than one initial sound or more than one final sound?
We can.
That would be interesting. And then, so let's see what kind of sounds we do have here. This is the word frog. Say frog.
Frog.
Let's expand that word. Stretch it out.
Frog.
Perfect. Let's see how many sounds frog has. Ready? Our initial sound. Our next sound. Our next sound. And our final sound.
G.
So let's say each individual sound.
G.
The word is
Frog.
perfect. Now this one was interesting because for this one, we only had one initial sound and we had one final sound, but we had two medial sounds, an and an ah. Isn't that interesting?
That is interesting.
You could do the same thing at home with any pictures that you have or even an object. You just take a look at your picture, stretch out that word, and say each individual sound. Oh, I think you know this fun activity. Now we are going to connect our sounds to our letters. Let's go ahead and let's review our letters and our sounds. And Miss Mary, I might ask for your help on this one.
I love this part, so I'm happy to help.
Perfect. Let's start with our vowels. U, up,
U, up,
A, apple, a.
A, apple, a.
E, ed, e.
E, ed, a.
O, octopus, ah.
O, octopus, ah.
I, itch, I. Perfect. Now let's try a couple of consonants. Ready? Here we go. S, snake, s. Q, queen, qu. V, van, v. H, hat, h. C, cat, k. N, nut, n. K, kite, k. Now let's try a couple of digraphs. Miss Mary, will you tell us again what digraphs are?
Well, a digraph is when two consonants go together, but they only make one sound.
That's right. That's a good example of telling the difference between letters and sounds. W, H, whistle, whoop. C, K, sock, k. Now we're going to introduce some new ones. You've probably seen them already if you're a first or a second grader. For a kindergartner, it might be new. You might have seen it before, but we're going to review them anyway because they are a very important part of learning how to read and spell. A, safe, A.
A, safe, A.
If you notice here, there's an A, a dash, and an E. So these are vowel consonant E's. Miss Mary, did I say that card correctly?
You did. A, safe, A.
Just like that?
The A tells us the name of the letter. The safe, the picture of the safe, gives us an idea of how the sound is, the phoneme is within the word. And this little cue reminds us that that E is silent. It works with the A so that the A actually is a longer sound. It makes the sound of its own name.
I see. Perfect. Okay. Let me try this one again. Let's see. O, home, O. Perfect. I, pine, I. E, Pete, E. You, mule, you. Did I get that sound correct?
You did. You know, it's interesting because when you is in a vowel consonant E pattern, it actually has a couple of different possible sounds.
Oh.
So one is going to be you as in Yule. And then there's another one.
And I think that one's on the next slide. What's this one?
So this one is you rule ooh. So do you see here that the girls are breaking the rule?
I see. So one says you, the other says ooh.
That's exactly right.
Do you hear the difference? It can be kind of tricky, but you can listen carefully and hear the difference in ooh and you. We are going to be right back in just a second to practice decoding words and spelling these words out. We'll see you in just a minute. Welcome back, literacy learners. We're going to practice using some of the letters that we just reviewed to decode words. Miss Mary here has brought her wonderful letter chart. Now, a question that some of our literacy learners might have is about the colors that are on our chart. Some of our letters are these light yellow cards, and some of our letters are these pink, reddish colored cards. Miss Mary, could you explain why that is?
Well, it's to help us see that some of our cards, the pink ones, are vowels.
Oh.
And some of our cards, the yellow ones, are consonants, including our consonant digraphs down at the very bottom.
Oh, excellent. I think that's a good reminder for us because every word in the English language needs to have at least one vowel. Every word.
So when we're building with our letter cards, we can be sure that we're building a word that follows that rule by making sure that we include a vowel or a pink one.
Excellent. Well, I have some words for us to practice decoding today. So what I'm going to do is I will ask Miss Mary to pick up certain letters, and she will put them together as one word. And then we will practice decoding the word.
Perfect.
Miss Mary, will you please put together the following letters? P, I, and G. Miss Mary, will you show us how to decode that word?
Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the sounds that those letters make, just like we did earlier today, and I'm going to sound out or decode the word. So let's try.
Perfect.
I, G. And then if I blend it, pig, and then I can just say the word pig.
Perfect. Let's try another one, because you did so well with the word pig. Let's spell away the word. P, I, G. Let's try the next set of letters. Let's put up the letters H, E, N.
H, E, there's my vowel, N. H, E, N.
Perfect. Let's decode the word.
N. And now let's blend it. Hen, hen.
Perfect. You know what? I'm going to change it up for spelling it away. I'm going to say the sounds instead.
I'll have to really pay attention. H says
Eh.
E says eh. N.
Let's try the next one. Will you put up the letters C, A, T?
C, A, T. You know, I'm betting that some of our readers were already sounding that out, even as I was grabbing the letters.
I know, I could almost hear them.
let's go ahead and let's make those sounds. I'm going to use my arm. Sometimes our readers might be used to using their fingers, and either way is okay.
Absolutely.
At, cat, and the word is cat.
Perfect. Let's sound away the letters.
At,
Perfect. Let's try this one. Will you put up the letters W-H-E-N? All right, let's try to decode this one. Do you remember what sound we make when we have the digraph WH?
You know, I'm thinking back to the keyword cards, and I remember that it was a WH whistle.
Excellent.
And when, I'm going to say it faster, when.
Perfect. So let's sound away the cards. Perfect. Will you put up the letters Q-U-I-C-K?
Q and a U, then an I, and then a CK. You know, I noticed something when we did the keyword sound, the Q and the U were together, and that's because the Q and the U are always together in our English language.
They're certainly best friends, aren't they? Let's tap out that word then.
Quick. Quick. So that QU only makes one sound. Qua.
That's right. And the word was again?
Quick. Quick.
Perfect.
I said it quickly.
Oh, that's right. How funny. I loved your play on words there. Let's sound it away.
Qua.
I. Will you put up the letters F-R-O-G? Let's tap it out.
G. Frog. Frog.
Perfect. Let's sound it away.
G.
Let's try the next one. Will you put up the letters S-N-A-C-K?
S-N-A-C-K.
Perfect. Let's tap it out.
Snack. Snack.
Perfect. Let's sound it away. Perfect. I have two more words for us that follow our new rule that we just learned about. The first one, H-O-M-E.
H-O-M-E.
Let's decode that word. Perfect.
Now, did you realize that I didn't say that ending E sound? I didn't say E.
That's right. You didn't.
Let's try it one more time.
Absolutely.
Home. Home.
Perfect. That was one of our vowel consonant E words.
Vowel, consonant, E.
And remember, the E is silent. Let's sound it away. O.
This didn't say anything, but it sure had an important job. This was the silent E.
Let's do one more. Will you please put up the letters V-A-N-E?
V-A-N. Oh, I see that silent E coming up again.
Let's tap it out.
A-N. Vein. Vein.
Perfect. Vein. Let's sound it away. A.
N.
That's right. So the E is silent, but it tells the other vowel to say his name. Let's go ahead and let's move on to our last part for our reading practice today. We're going to do some fluency.
Now, I'll move this out of the way while you get that set up.
Perfect. Today we're going to be working with words, sentences, and then we're going to practice a little bit of expression. Now, one of the things we've done today with our word list is that I've covered them up slightly. Now, the reason I've done that is because sometimes if there are too many words or images on a page, it can be distracting to our eyes and hard to see. So you will see words come up and you will also see them go away. So that way we can focus on one line of text at a time. You'll see some familiar words as we read them aloud. Miss Mary, would you be able to point to the words for us?
I will, especially since I'm the one touching the pointer and I haven't disinfected it. I wouldn't want to pass it over to you.
No. Let's try this. Ready? I think I need to get rid of this. There we go. Oops. There we go. There we go. Here's our first line of words. Are you ready? We're going to read the words only. We're not going to stop to decode them. Ready? Here we go. The cat met nut kid. One of these words was one of our high frequency words from last week. Do you remember which one it was, Miss Mary?
I do. It was a really important word, but it doesn't follow the rules, so we just have to learn how to say it when we see it. It was the.
Perfect. Let's try our next line. Right. Ready? Here we go. Have, duck, chat, when, which. Where was our high frequency word?
First one again. Have.
Perfect. Let's try our next line. Ready? And, pond, stop, stick, plum. Where was the high frequency word?
Do you see it? I see it.
And, that's right. All right, let's try some words with our new practice that we just learned today. Ready? Here we go. Lime, bone, whale, tune. How did you do with those words? I know you did great. Let's try some sentences now. Ready? Here we go. The dog had a bone. Did you notice how there was a period? That was our statement. So I said it like I was communicating information, an idea, or a thought. Let's try the next one. Ready? Here we go. A duck can swim in the pond. That was another statement. Did you see the period at the end? Let's try this one. Watch for the punctuation at the end. It'll tell you how you need to say it. Ready? Can I have a lime and a plum? that was a question, so I needed to inflect my voice. Take a look at the punctuation. Ready? Here we go. Stop the cat. He has the bone. I had to say that excitedly because we had an exclamation mark at the end. Let's do one more exercise before we close out for today. And this is going to be for expression. Now, a lot of times we read because we just want to understand the text and we want to be automatic with our words. But there's also expression that we need to take into account. We need to be able to express the reading like a character or like a feeling or an emotion. That brings life to our stories. I have an activity for us today that's based off of the Florida Center of Reading Research and can be found on their website, fcrr.org. We're going to take familiar quotes from some fairy tales that you might have heard before, and we're going to read them like the characters.
Oh, I love pretending like I'm the characters. You know, I think that's one of my favorite things about being a school librarian is that I get to do a lot of storytelling. And if my voice is flat and doesn't show the character's excitement or emotion, well, then my students just look there and look at me and stare. They don't get very excited.
That's right. So, Miss Mary, I'm going to invite you to read some of our sentences aloud. How about if you try the first one?
Well, first, I'm going to read it to myself so that I can make sure that I understand what all the words are. And then I'll go ahead and read it with expression.
Perfect.
Okay, I think I've got it. The mouse was very afraid. Please let me go, the mouse begged.
I love your voices, Miss Mary, that you do for the characters. It's so much fun to listen to.
Well, it's so much fun to act like the characters.
Let's try another one. Will you try this one for us?
Now, again, I'm going to read it first to myself so that I can make sure that I understand what all the words are, and then I'll read it with expression. I know what story this is from, and so now I really am ready to read it with expression. Are you ready?
I think they are.
Oh, turkey lurkey, the sky is falling. We are going to tell the king, cried Goosey Lucy.
Let's try just a couple more.
I see an important word there that gives me a hint about how I should use my voice. This word, bellowed, means that it was a very deep, loud yell. So I'll keep that in mind as I'm reading this sentence with expression. I have to start it again. The third goat has a big voice. It is I, the biggest billy goat gruff, he bellowed.
I loved that. I loved how you bellowed that voice. Let's do one more. Whoops. The wrong one disappeared. That's okay.
And that's okay.
We had a mistake, and that's all right. Let me see if I can actually just pull it up real fast. We are getting close on the time, but all I need to do is just get rid of the box. This one I'd love for us to do together.
1 minute.
So, I will be the wolf, and you will be Little Red Riding Hood.
Great.
Go ahead and start whenever you're ready.
Little Red Riding Hood said, "Grandmother, what big eyes you have."
The wolf replied in a high voice, "The better to see you with, my dear." How funny was that? We have done so much wonderful work today with sounds, letters, words, and sentences. And we're going to keep talking about farm animals throughout this entire week. We had a great time today with you, and remember to check out these episodes on the APS YouTube channel, and feel free to visit us on our Twitter handle as well with the APS at home with APS. This is Miss Mary and Miss Maggie. We had a wonderful time with you today. Thank you for joining us today for At Home with APS Summer Edition.